How have you been?
I've been doing well. I think it's been a while since I see you even on campus, but nice to see you here.
Yeah, it's nice to see you too. I mean, it's been some times. I remember back in the days we used to play football together with Umar Tekshira and the whole squad.
I can't believe as soon as we finish that economic class and be like, yo, let's go to the field. But I don't know these days what happened. It's been a long time since I come to Kigali to even see you playing that soccer. I think we should definitely, organize some sort of
No, absolutely.
a date that we have to at least maybe practice. I mean, we've got a lot of alumni here, I guess. So,
Most definitely. It's like there are a lot of alumni who move from African Leadership Academy and then they go on to study at the African Leadership University.
Absolutely. There's a quite number of students. I think there has to be a community get back. Sometimes we may organize playing a sort of a football at least, because that was something I still remember when I, talk about or maybe watch any football. Yeah.
Football seems like one of the best experiences you had at ALA. Were there any other similar experiences that you had from the academy?
I mean, coming from Somaliland all the way to South Africa, and I still have the privilege of, I definitely have a lot of privilege, but at least I've never been in any field like that one. So I was like, wow, this is definitely a new field. And I was very young and I was energetic and I love soccer, right? And I think that is, and I still do. I think that is something that I will always remember. But there are a lot of things that I feel I remember from ALA, and that includes, at least helping me understand what my passion is and what that I really want to do maybe after ALA. Yeah.
And how transformative was the ALA experience for you?
I think it was very transformative, because when I get to ALA, I ask myself questions that I never did, and then I always curious about my purpose in life and what I really want to do after ALA, after ALU, and even in my life. And then I realized you have to start something to actually understand what you really want to do, or maybe what you really want to start maybe later on in life. So I was like, okay, then try something, and I think that's a huge lesson that I learned from LA. At least understand what you're passionate about and at least define your purpose. But if you don't do anything, then the question is, how will you be able to find that? Yeah, but it was a very interesting time being at LA. Yeah, I definitely miss it.
Well, most of us do. Post ALA, you said you have to start something. What is something that you started?
There were a lot of startups that I actually started since LA, but I don't expose to media. And I make sure that at least I document and then get a lot of feedback and say, okay, could actually this be something that I feel like should be exposed to media and at least share my friends. So there were a lot of ideas, but one of the ideas that I feel like I should actually, say, okay, tell the world this is actually one of the things that I'm working on. I founded a few startups, and that includes I was trying to create an entrepreneurial school in Somaliland where we educate kids about entrepreneurship. However, that was extremely challenging, but still that is something I'm trying to find a way to actually develop it still, but I have not shared anybody yet. But also, I do run, I think you may know this one, Plastic Venture. We do have that a lot of social media canalists, and I think I've been exposed to media, and I've been sharing a lot of information about plastics and that specific sector. So after ALA, I was privileged to actually found a number of startups. But one of the things that I'm currently running is the Plastic Venture, where we do collect and recycle plastics in Somaliland.
Thank you for sharing exclusively that you want to start an entrepreneurship school in Somali. That's really interesting and fascinating. And I hope in a way that ALA has inspired you to be able to do that. But regarding Plastic Venture, what inspired you to start that project? There's a lot of lessons I learned from LA. And one of them was that actually, if you go back home, try to identify a problem. And I think that is something that is still relevant to my mind, no matter where I go. I'm like, okay, even if you get a Chinese to go to any country, just try to find a way to at least see if there is any opportunity or if there is any problem you can identify and then can be maybe turned into business. So when I got back home, I saw a lot of issues, and one of them was actually plastic waste. So in Somaliland, there is a lot of plastic waste, and I was like, this could actually not be a problem, but an opportunity. So I was like, okay, try at least to do something about it. I did a lot of research. I realized that no one was actually doing nothing, including the government, right? Then I was like, this could be your chance. And then I was like, yeah. And then I found it. I think right after LA, it was extremely hectic. I mean, it was extremely hectic and challenge. And I think you understand what it means to be an entrepreneur, specifically from that, background. But it was actually rewarding too. At least it helps you understand, what is that you're really passionate about? What is that you really want to maybe do after, your education? Or what is that you feel like, okay, there is something that I love to actually explore, right? So it comes with a lot of rewards, but also it has its own challenges.
You spoke about how you saw a problem that most people in your community didn't see. What are some of the skills that you had developed over the years that helped you see those problems the way you did?
That's really very interesting question. I wouldn't say skill because I know there are a lot of actually knowledgeable people in my community. However, when you really identify a problem, it has its own challenges, right? And when you actually live in a country that, does not have a lot of, financial support when it comes to entrepreneurs, right? Even if you have that skill where you actually identify the problem and you feel like, I can do something about it, right? At the end of the day, you need some sort of support in terms of financial support, because without it, it's extremely hard to at least set up something and do a prototype, right? But then some of the lessons that I learned from LA, especially my entrepreneurial classes, was that at least find a problem, then the rest will come, right? And I need to work, because I remember I literally had nothing when I started, and I was like, dude, are you for real? You taking this one, and anyone else in your community could have taken, but there's a reason why they shouldn't. But then I was like, give it a try. At least if you identify a problem and you write it down and you document and you show the people this is something that you really care, not because you want to see the Somaliland that's really free of plastic, but a country that where everybody can feel okay. I actually have to take part of this, sort of solution, because it's not a Jimcale solution. It is a country solution that everybody wants us to live in a country that's actually free of plastic waste. So then I was like, just take it. If you start it, just keep doing it. Because I hate when I start something and then later on I'm like, leave it, right? So if I make the decision to actually take it, I'll be like, okay, keep doing it. And since when we did the prototype, we actually approached a lot of people. We tried to do, research. We actually write it down a business plan. So we keep improving, right? And even though we did not get a lot of financial support, but still we got a lot of support in terms of technicality, in terms of documentation, in terms of, connection. And since when we were able to actually start up a whole venture now that's actually operating now in Somaliland, where we do collect and store and clean and then actually do the recycling. And I feel like if I said that day, it's going to be hard, obviously it's going to be hard. But then if I said, okay, you know what, things are getting hard, but just leave it. So when you get back, when you get, at least a job, so you get some sort of financial support. But then I didn't, because I was actually more into the problem, and I always wanted to see my community to actually have a, environment that's clean and healthy. Because, when we go to LA, you see South Africa is clean, man, and green. So I'm coming from that environment and then going back, you feel like something needs to be changed. Yeah. And that was, I think, a very interesting journey. And as you may still know, I'm still running that venture, but I still run other ventures too, but I don't expose, because I want to make sure that when I tell, people actually understand what it is and the vision and mission, but that is something. But currently the plastic venture seems is gaining a lot of market. So hopefully we aim to make a lot of difference in the community through recycling and raising awareness in terms of plastic pollution.
I suppose that you're already creating massive impacts, with everything that you've been doing so far.
Yeah, so far, if you look at 2019, 2020 when we started, we couldn't even you couldn't even actually collect at least even 10, bags of plastics because we didn't have the capacity. But up to now, we managed to collect 1.2 million kilograms of plastic waste. And that is not actually a lot compared to what we really wanted to achieve. But it's still, I think it is something that speaks for itself, right? And we're hoping at least for the next few years to expand and go bigger and make actually a lot of impact. Now we get a support, we get a mentorship, we get a funding, and we are actually we're actually scaling up and we increasing our collection capacity and we increasing our recycling capacity, right? And we also create job opportunity for more than 5 people currently, right? But we still do believe that we're still early stage startup. However, we do believe that for the next few years that we will go bigger and hopefully employ a lot of people and make a lot more impact on my community. And I think that is what we are still trying to achieve, and hopefully we will very soon. Yeah,
absolutely. I agree with you. I think you're taking a step in the right direction, and the impact. Looking forward to the impact, which I personally believe is going to be massive. What has this project taught you?
That's a very interesting question because I have learned a lot of things from this project. And one of them was actually, if you ever want to create something, use what you have and at least maximize that thing that you have, right? And if you ever plan to start something, don't say, I don't actually have that capacity to do this one. But I think starting is the foundation of creating something that's actually sustainable and could last longer. Because if you actually start something that you really care, right, and you decided to make the decision of saying, I actually care about this problem, I want to do it, but I don't have anything, right? But starting is the foundation of actually creating something that's very impactful. That's also one of the things that I learned. And the other thing that I learned was that, I was not actually sure what is that I really want to do after my early graduation, after even early graduation, what is that I really wanted? And I was curious, Jimcale, what kind of person do you actually want to be after you finish all of this education? And I was like, you have to at least define something. But then you can't if you just sit and say I want to be the next, let us say millionaire. I want to be maybe the next Bill Gates. Or maybe I want to be the next, let us say the first Wanika, right? You have to start at least. And then, because you cannot find your passion unless you start something. I don't believe it is something that's actually coming to you. And when you start something, you maybe love it and you're doing it. Or maybe you understand something else and you're like, okay, this could be actually interesting, right? And through that process, you may be able to at least find a purpose, right? And your passion and be like, okay, I think I should actually continue doing it. Or maybe stop because you're not actually finding what you thought you would be able to find it. Yeah, that is some of the few lessons that I actually learned from running plastic venture over the past few years. And I think there's still a lot that's coming.
So if you're listening to this, the least you can do is just to start.
Definitely.